So I'm reading Breakfast at Tiffanys by Truman Capote. This is nothing at all like I thought it would be. Like, I went in kind of blind. I have never seen the movie. I just thought it was going to be written from... I thought she was called Tiffany, first of all. I thought it was a fancy lady called Tiffany who was like writing about herself. So that's the idea I had in my mind. And on the first page, I was like, this doesn't sound like a woman written by a man. This sounds like a man written by a man, or maybe a woman written by a woman. So her name isn't Tiffany. It's Holly, or is it? And it's written through the point of view of her upstairs neighbor, or is it downstairs neighbor, who is a man, which is kind of interesting. It's sort of, it gives me Great Gatsby vibes in that, like, the most interesting character of the story isn't the narrator, and we don't really learn a lot about the narrator himself. He's just the person watching everything and interacting with everything, so he's kind of like Nick in that way. I kind of wish I had read this when I was younger. I wouldn't hate the main character so much, Holly. I'm not sure if she's supposed to be unlikable or if she's supposed to be, or if we're actually supposed to like her. I've just met so many people like her. People that just think they can say whatever they want and just like so casually, like, and make these like backhanded compliments and these like, okay, I'll read you the example. So this is like the first time. She never has her keys, so she's always waking people up. She lives in an apartment complex with a load of other people, and she's always just waking people up at like all hours of the morning because she, I can't keep hold of keys. So she never says sorry, she doesn't care. And people just, they buzz her in. So, and in this instance, she has climbed in the fire escape of the narrator's window, you know, like, I don't know how that works. It's a New York thing, but you can just climb into someone's house through the fire escape. So this is the kind of their first proper interaction. Yeah, because she has a man who's like getting a bit frisky and she wants to escape him. As soon as she gets in, she looks around the place and she says, "How can you bear it? It's a chamber of horrors." Sorry? If someone came into my house, and someone was like, "Oh, how can you bear it? It's a chamber of horrors." She doesn't have an English accent, because she's in America. I just picture her saying it in an English accent. Like, what would you do? Like, I'm the type of person that would probably be like, haha, yeah, I know, it's terrible. Because I'm just so bad at confrontation. So yeah, he's obviously kind of like me, and he says, "Oh, you get used to anything," I said, annoyed with myself, for actually I was proud of the place. And then, "I don't. I'll never get used to anything. Anybody that does, they might as well be dead." Her dispraising eyes surveyed the room again. What do you do in here all day? Like, oh. Anyway, then she like goes on to use a bunch of slurs. And then she kind of gets less and less likable. Like, what should be done about these classics that have slurs in them? Sometimes they have slurs, like The Awakening, for instance, by Kate Chopin. They weren't even used in a derogatory way. I mean, as in, they were just used in an everyday language kind of way. And it's like, should they all be like republished without these words? Or is that rewriting history? Is that like turning a blind eye to it? Like, oh, that didn't happen, people didn't say those things, you know? Anyway, I think that is probably a topic for a whole other day. But yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying it. I'm on page 68, and yeah, I'm gonna keep going with it. I like that the narrator isn't really sure if he's in love with Holly, because he kind of dislikes her, but he also feels like this jealousy whenever he thinks that she's married some other man, and he also wants to be around her a lot, but like he also finds her he kind of sees through her narcissism. He's like, do I love her? Like, I'm feeling jealous. And yeah, I guess I am a little in love with her the same way I was in love with my mother's elderly cook or the postman that I followed around. And he was also a little bit in love with a whole family named McKendrick. That category of love generates jealousy too. And I think that's really interesting because, you know, sometimes you can be confused about like, yeah, am I in love with this person? Like, I'm displaying all the symptoms of being in love with someone, but it doesn't make sense because I also don't want to be in a relationship with that person or something, you know? There's a lot of different categories of love. Yeah, you can be in love with your postman. Like, I did have a postman. Okay, look, I wasn't in love with him, but, you know, one time, like, he brought a dog biscuit for Willow, and we had kind of the banters and the chats, and then one time I saw him out when I was out. He was doing his rounds or whatever, and I, like, gave him a friendly hello, like, hey, how are you? And he didn't cold shoulder me, but he was kind of like, he wasn't as excited as me. And then I realized, like, yeah, he doesn't know who I am. Like, he knows who I am in context with my address. I'm just one of the long list of people he delivers mail to. And there's probably other dogs that he gives dog biscuits to, and he has banters with other people. And that's it. That's my story. Okay, I just have a little tiny book haul to do. First of all, we've got The Dogs of Babel. Now, this is kind of for a video that I'm doing. I'm going to be doing a video and also just an experience for myself to reread my favorite books from when I was a teenager. So I'm going to be talking more about these books in that video, but this was one of them. I've read this book so many times. The Dogs of Babel. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. It's quite an old book. I mean, 2000s. Next we have the Decameron Volume 2, because I have Volume 1, and I need Volume 2. I haven't read Volume 1, so Volume 2. Next, Maeve Binchy. I do not hear people talk about Maeve Binchy. She is quite a famous, like, popular... I don't know if she's famous anymore, but when I was growing up, she was like the Colleen Hoover, maybe. But yeah, she wrote Circle of Friends, which I think got turned into a film. But I haven't read any Maeve Binchy, because when I was a kid, you know, I was a kid. So, you know, more or less. So I wasn't reading adult books. And you're gonna see a pattern with the sizes. They're all this kind of size. Any books that are from, like, my teenage years, like popular fiction. Because I think this was more the size. Another one for the favorite books from when I was a teenager. Nicholas Evans, The Loop. He wrote The Horse Whisperer. Again, the same size. These small little books. But thick, you know? I've read this so many times. I actually read The Smoke Jumper more times, but I couldn't find it. But this is a close second favorite, The Loop. Again, these are going to be books that I don't hear people talking about on, like, Book Talk, Bookstagram. Well, no. Next, we have a classic, D.H. Lawrence, The Rainbow. This is one of his chunkier ones. Someone obviously had this in their, like, coat pocket and then got stabbed. So this book saved their life. I'm really excited for this. I love D.H. Lawrence. Why does everyone hate him? D.H. Lawrence, The Rainbow. I love stained glass windows. I really, really love stained glass windows. In fact, I'm gonna make all my windows stained glass. Okay, Famous Five. You know, if you're a long-time viewer of this channel, you know I'm on a quest to get all the famous 5 books. This is 5 on Treasure Island. Another classic. We have Breakfast of Champions, Kurt Vonnegut. I think I'm saying that right, Kurt Vonnegut. I haven't read any Kurt Vonnegut, so... Oh, there's pictures! I love pictures. This one has pictures. I have no idea what this is about, so I'm going in completely blind. So I have 2 more books by the same author, actually, and they're non-fiction books, by Bruno Bettelheim, and this is The Informed Heart, and it is a study of the psychological consequences of living under extreme fear and terror. So in 1938 to 39, Bruno Bettelheim was imprisoned in the concentration camps of Dachau and Buchenwald. In order to keep alive and remain human, he began to analyze his own behavior and that of everyone around him. So, and then also he wrote The Uses of Enchantment, The Meaning and Importance of Fairy Tales. I saw this while I was browsing the secondhand book store online, and I thought it sounded really cool. And then I was doing research for a video where I am planning to read all the favorite books of all the casts of Ocean's 8. Is that the one with all women? Yeah. And this was one of Cate Blanchett's favorite books, so I was like, it's a sign. So, that's it, guys. Yeah, just a little book haul for y'all. So this is how the bookshelf is looking. Just 2 of the shelves. 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 out of 6 shelves filled. I think I might take the board games and put them there. I know some people really have a thing against that, but it just kind of makes sense. Got my my babies, my film cameras, and a skull just to remind us that death is never far away. And one thing about my bookshelf is that it has like no organization whatsoever. Well, this is the extent of the organization. I have kind of the old looking books here, and that's it. Well, and this kind of happened by accident as well, these Dover Thrift editions. 3 of them ended up together. But for now I like it because whenever I go to find a book, I like to kind of end up searching through all the different books. And for now, there's like a certain novelty in that, but definitely there'll probably be a time when that is really annoying and I will want to organize it. But I'm going to talk to you about the first ever time that I remember telling a lie. It was 1994, I was 4 years old, and I was playing on my bed with these 2 little action figures that I got from a Lucky Dip. This is the exact Lucky Dip bag. And I was, you know, acting out these scenarios, these dramatic action-packed scenarios with these action figures. And just as my mom was walking by the door, I, you know, through my voice made one of the action figures say our Lord's name in vain. And she stopped in the doorway and she was like, "Don't ever say God unless you're praying." And without missing a beat, I was like, "Oh, but I was praying." And she was like, "Oh, wow, well, good girl." And so that was it. First of all, I had broken 2 of the 10 commandments in the space of 20 seconds. That's 20% of the 10 commandments, and I was only 4. But I had tasted that sweet relief of telling a lie to get out of trouble. And it was so easy. I had gone from being admonished and feeling guilt and shame to now I'm a good girl. And it was that easy. But the funny thing is, I've told countless lies since then, but I have not taken our Lord's name in vain since 1994. As Shakespeare said, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive." And ain't that the truth? You know, in my early 20s, I lied a lot. I thought they were harmless lies. And then, you know, things just have a way of snowballing. And I'd gotten myself into quite a pickle. And one of our chickens had just got run over. I promise this is all ties in. I was living at home at the time with my family, and yeah, one of my mom's chickens had got run over. I didn't want, like, my family to have to see. It wasn't me who ran over the chicken, by the way. Because what I'm about to do seems like something a guilty person would do. But I didn't want, like, my family to have to see, like, the feathers everywhere. So I went out on the road and it was, like, evening time. It was getting dark and I was, like, picking up all the feathers. And suddenly, as I'm like picking up these feathers, I remember this this folktale that I had heard. It's actually a 19th century folktale called Feathers in the Wind, and it's basically about this man. He goes around and he's like slandering the wise man of the village, and he's like talking all sorts of crap about this wise man. And I guess one day he feels guilty and he goes to the wise man and he asks for forgiveness, and the wise man says, yeah, I'll forgive you, but on one condition. And he gives him this huge pillow full of duck feathers, and he says, go and rip this pillow and let all the feathers go, and then come back to me. And he's like, all right, a little weird, but okay, you're the wise man, and I'll do whatever it takes to earn your forgiveness, so I'll do it. So he goes home, he does it, and then he goes back to the wise man's house, and he's like, okay, are we cool? We all square here? And he's like, yeah, absolutely, forgiven. But one more thing, now go home and pick up every feather and put it back in the pillowcase. Yeah, it was just like a little omen in life, I guess. That's it. Okay, bye.